everyone. It is August 20th at 12:01 p.m. and I would like to call to order the meeting of the Anchorage Advisory Committee. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's do roll call. Starting with you, Ron.
Ron Flum.
Ed Schoonover.
Sam Lurie.
Chris Riedel-King.
Ted Allwell.
Jim Adderholt. Curtis Ludwig.
Not present today are John Wesley Nash. He is excused. He was going on a trip, and I am not sure about Jennifer. We'll check on that. Okay. All right. Do we have any public comment? I don't see anybody for public comment. So let's go to approval of the minutes. Has everybody had time to look at the minutes from our last meeting on August 6th?
Yes.
Any discussion, questions, concerns?
Sam Lurie, I move that we accept the minutes.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Sam, seconded by Ted. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, minutes pass. All right, staff report and updates.
So I have some updates, but first things first, we have Frankie here, so I'm gonna let him take the stage first.
Hello, Frankie.
Good morning, committee, Madam Chair. Frankie Kropacek, Community Development and Planning Director for the town of Fort Myers Beach. Titles seem to change on a temporary basis. I apologize for my sudden exit last meeting.
We missed you.
We're in a state of flux
yes,
sometimes,
I understand that.
So I apologize for that. But what can I answer for you today?
Well, first of all, why don't you tell us what it means to be Community Development Director? What does that mean? What all are you responsible for? And then I have more questions, and I'm sure we will.
Sure. So part of my job duties require me to do a lot of things. We all wear a lot of hats. We're a small town. So basically, I oversee the department that does all the permitting and all the development for the town, whether it's residential or commercial development. With that, I also am tasked with heading what tourism that the town controls, which is the mooring field. It's our only bite at tourism that we have outside of the beach, and that's controlled by TDC. So Curtis and I kind of go back a year or so when we started having our discussions and bringing him on board as our harbor master. So I oversee that as well. And then I also do a lot of the grant work for the town as far as writing and going out and getting.
And I don't want to clarify your own job description, Frankie, but I think you do a little more than that. And it's with respect to the beach. Chad reports to you. Is that correct?
Yes, the environmental side of it. Chad is, not only one of our planners as far as on the environmental side when we go through our planning reviews, but he is also the manager of the beach. So he's the one who deserves all the credit. Him and Michael Poff, which is one of our contractors that we deal with for reimagining and re-engineering the entire beach and getting all those FEMA dollars for the berm and things like that after each hurricane. So he definitely deserves all the kudos for that. Yes, sir.
But you oversee that,
yes.
And you also oversee the beach access points, all that.
The beach access points, actually TDC falls under Jeff. So our community services director, part of Public Works, is that portion as well. So the beach accesses that are controlled by the town, at least until they get into the sand part, are all done by TDC folks that work for Jeff Howdy.
And the ambassador/enforcement people who go along the beach, does that
Those
fall?
are code. Those have been taken to and given to our new emergency management and emergency services director, Tom Yazzo, who used to work for me, but now he's got his own wing here.
Mr. Yazzo was at one meeting he was going to oversee.
That is correct. That is correct. That changed back.
You missed the spinning of the wheel.
And the only reason it did, it wasn't done in haste. It was done to. It made logical sense at the time to take those elements and put it there. But the whole thing comes back to the tourism aspect of it. Part of what I do and the grants that I look at are very tourist laden, trying to get people to come here to our town, not only to invest but also to live. And so that aspect ties into the mooring field, which was initially established as a way to get tourism and safe harborage to this town, instead of just having a hodgepodge Anchorage out there where people were being pirates without being on the big pirate ship.
So talk about marine operations. Does that still exist? And is mooring part of marine operations? How does that work?
So every development that comes into this town, I'll start there.
Okay.
We look for things that can benefit the town, obviously. When we have a discussion with the developer, what can you do in your plan that would accent to what we do as a town? We know of a big development coming up on the Back Bay that was already approved. So in those discussions, you say, hey, I need a spot for my harbor master and his team, or I could use a dry dock or a wet slip for our boat that we have. And those discussions go on constantly with every developer that we have. Very few of them kind of step up to the plate with that, because it is a big ask, right? You're basically asking them to house one of your employees. We're just not there yet. So getting back to the second part of that question about being marine operations, yes, I am over that. And our long-term goal is to not be in a communications trailer underneath a bridge, or even be into the conics that was under the bridge by the dinghy dock, but to have our own hardened space. As a town, 3 years reserved from Ian, almost, we're just not financially there yet, where we can go out and say, hey, take that for sale sign down, I'm the new owner, and here's your new tenants. And that's kind of where we're always going towards. We never give up looking for grants. We have a lot of things in the works, possibilities that we can get to get a hardened structure for our team. We understand the availability closer to the bay, closer to the dinghy dock. All the work that we've gone through with that, I would love to have that as a centerpiece of that mooring field. So we're constantly on the lookout.
But correct me if I'm wrong, marine operations is more than just mooring field. It's also canals, it's something
It is.
else. So what are all the other pieces?
So that's where the environmental piece ties in. So we talked about Chad earlier being on the beach, but as the environmental manager for the town, he also helps me and Curtis. We work as a team, and we did all the debris cleanup out of the canals. When we start getting into more of what hurricanes bring besides debris, which is silt and sand, that becomes a major issue. And I know prior to Ian, the town had talked many times about doing dredging at different parts of the, the area of the town and whatnot. Honestly and realistically, you're talking about taking on a monumental task of the town at this current stage. Again, looking at grants, looking at possible funding sources and partners with the federal government. We're always daily conversations with FEMA on the PA side, seeing who can help us and who can't help us. Those haven't stopped in the last 3 years since I've been here. That will determine how the average boater on this island, who paid a lot of money to live on a beautiful canal and can't lower their boat lift down because they're silted in. We were able to get all the debris and 90% of the debris, the big stuff anyway, through a grant and through state funding. So that part of or portion of it, we're good at. Getting the silt, not so much. That's going to be a major endeavor.
So,
but that wouldn't cover part of marine operations.
okay. So marine operations is kind of a Curtis plus Chad plus you. It's
correct. The dynamic is not just, Curtis is not just do the mooring field.
Right.
His responsibilities are far, far reaching. Not only doing what he does in the mooring field, which is irreplaceable at this point, but also getting out there and getting our name out there, right? We talk about marketing. I know someone who has a marketing background. But we know when we had these discussions this year, when we started talking about budget, we need to get our name out there. We got a good thing going here. It seems like every day something is good happening on this beach. Something opening, something new's coming, those type of things. That's where you want to be in. As far as what we have to offer, we may not have the posh conditions. Our blend services are more than comfortable, more than adequate compared to a lot of them in the area. But having a hardened structure for our team to work out of, that's still in the works. But once you get the people here, I think we have plenty of entertainment venues to keep them occupied for that weekend stay that they're looking at. And Curtis and I just talked a couple days ago, heading into season now, we're going to be seeing a lot more of that, people coming down for the weekend. It might be warmer here than upstate or those type of things, or people moving through during season. So we can really take advantage of that. And I think he's really done an amazing job with his staff to get that mooring field in tip-top shape.
Frankie, from a budgeting perspective, is the marine operations and the mooring field, is that split when we look at budget for the town, or are those kind of commingled?
They kind of commingle. And the only reason I'm saying that is the debris cleanup and all that was handled almost 100% by FEMA. The last portion of it, we were so close to finishing, and we needed, about another month and a half or two to get to that final stage. And so we met with this is going in last year's budget where we had the funds available. And we met with our finance director, Joe Onzik, and we were able to come up with a solution that we were able to pay, I think it was a little shy of $2 million to make up the difference between what the state was going to cover to finish the job. And I'm glad we did, because we were able to get it done. And that goes all the way back from Ian. That was Ian, Adalia, Debbie, Helene, Milton, the whole cast of characters there that we've dealt with over the last 3 years. So that's a major hurdle. But they do kind of commingle. The marine operations portion, when there is money budgeted for a certain project, that would come out of a separate line item instead of just the mooring field. But I know we got a lot of negative press about us being in a huge deficit with the mooring field. That really kind of is skewed, and the only reason it was skewed is because we're waiting for a lot of those funds to be reimbursed from FEMA. The dinghy dock, those type of things. That shows money coming out, right, that we have to expense, but it doesn't show the money coming back in to refill that.
Does that also include the boat? Curtis is going to explain his boat build here shortly.
The new boat?
Yes.
So what we were able to
covered, or
we were able to find some really good sources of funding in last year's budget that we still had available, and that's what allowed us to do what we wanted to do when we needed to do it. As you're all well aware, we had a boat missing,
yes.
And that precipitated the need to find a new boat and find one. And we didn't want to be knee-jerk about it. We wanted to make sure that it fit his needs and the part of code compliance, because that was kind of a dual-purpose boat that we had here before. And so we wanted to make sure that if nothing else, he could do his maintenance out of it, and for a few days a week or when needed, code compliance could get in there and do their patrols of the canals as well that they used to do prior to Ian. So that was what led to the search. He came up with some really 3 good examples. We sat down with our finance director and we were able to pull that all together. But again, that was out of last year's budget, not the one that we're currently in now.
So are there some outstanding grants or insurance payments that might be coming in that would make the overall number for this fiscal year for the mooring field look a little bit better?
They will, once those FEMA, the PA projects catch up and they are allocated, which they haven't been. I mean, trying to get a penny out of Washington is kind of tough these days.
Yeah.
They've all been approved by the state. They've all been approved and packaged correctly. They're just kind of waiting in limbo for them to be signed off on. Those payments will take a lot of that number that you saw turned around. And then in our meetings that we're going to be coming up with in the public here, I think on September 11th is going to be our first one in front of council. You'll see those numbers changed a lot. And it wasn't nefariously, it was because you can account for this coming here and that going there. When Joe was asked at that town council meeting, he had only been here, been back with us for just a few short days. And he's a brilliant finance director, but even he needed to kind of wrap his head about what happened over that 4-month span.
Okay.
So based on, so a couple questions. Knowing that there's money coming in that's going to offset some of the deficit from this past year, when we think about going forward, are all of the salaries for Curtis and all of his folks, they're put against the mooring budget, right?
They come out of the general fund. So that's where it gets a little murky, right?
So
there's a line item for the mooring field. So in that line item for the mooring field, we have the mooring bill maintenance, which we know now that we have to do it twice a year. That was budgeted. That's moving forward. We also have Curtis, Patty, and the 2 full-time positions in there. And then what we had done is he had lost a member of his staff that was a full-time. We brought that down to a part-time just to assist during the winter months during season to give his crew respite and work on different hours. So it is a general fund expense, but it doesn't come out of community development or out of the building fund. So to your direct question is, it does all kind of get grouped together.
So even
In that
though
budget
they may
line item.
spend some of their time on things that aren't exactly the mooring field, it's still
Marine
charged
operations, right.
against the mooring field budget. And so when we say we're running a deficit, it's not, we can't make up all of that
No,
necessarily
no.
with the mooring field
Correct,
because there's
correct.
more than.
And I can tell you this, our projections, when we sit down and we look at this, our projections for next year is actually, we've been increasing every single year. So since Curtis has got here and kind of whipped that mooring field back into shape. So as long as you can show an upward trend in any type of projection, I mean, it's not like it was on the chopping block. No one's doing away with the mooring field. You know, that's not going to be the case. In fact, it's the opposite. We're looking at trying to get more and grow it even farther.
So what would a number be that, you know, if we wanted to make the mooring field operate as close to expense neutral as possible, what would that, could you come up with that figure so we at least knew what we were, you know, trying to achieve?
Yeah, to me, it's probably in the range of anywhere between 2.25 and 250,
Okay.
and that would include everything. That would include your maintenance, and in a perfect world, a place for them. You know, we were in the old Matanzas Inn. Was that the building that we're in?
Correct.
Or were? And you know, after that got wiped out by Ian, I think there was a change of ownership somewhat in there. They're building back. We would have liked to have been involved with a talk with them last year when we were kind of still had funds moving forward.
Harbor House.
Harbor House, yeah.
It's below that, but it's owned by Matanzas. The unit's underneath Harbor House.
Yeah, it's a condo unit owned by Kansas.
Right.
So I mean, we're still looking at all things. That would come into an expense and take that either out of that number I got you, or it would lower it if it didn't happen. Right now, we're in a communications trailer. That thing was, it was designed to operate a few days out of a month, and it sat for years. And we put it back into service, and they've been so graciously putting up with it. We just don't have any other place without moving all of them to the new town hall, and that would just
Yeah.
not make the mooring field operate correctly.
So if we could hit 225 to 250,000 in revenue from the mooring field, that would pretty much make us sort of even in terms of
If
expenses
you're
that
yeah.
could actually be attributed to the mooring field.
If you're asking me that, yes.
Yeah.
Based on last year's
Yeah.
projections and where we were, yes.
That's very
There will
helpful.
be-
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I just wanted to, so that deficit deal, so that number, our salaries are included in that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, right.
So just, you know, keep that in mind. I will tell you, over the last year I've been here, you know, we kind of roughly bring in, for the year, we brought in, it's in the ballpark of around 215,000 a year. So, and we're looking to increase that this year, hopefully, by just the number of vessels that we bring in. But I'll touch more a little bit later in our meeting.
And internally, we're always looking at strategies, right? How we can tweak what was there and what it was designed to do. It was designed to not allow people just to drop anchor in that back bay and just charge their boats, right? So this was a solution that the town took on for an environmental reason, but also as a way to kind of contain what we had back there, which is a jewel. We all know that, right? We have seagrass growing back there. Seagrass brings manatees. You can stand by the Mount House and look off that pier, and you can see a dolphin come right underneath the pier. You can see to the bottom, all right? Where I live in Cape Coral, you can't see to the bottom. It looks like a cup of tea, you know? So, I mean, and that's the Caloosahatchee, I get that, but you can't really compare apples and oranges. But we have a beautiful thing back there, and we want to maintain it the best we can. The mooring field was designed in part to do that, in large part to do that. Keep it clean and orderly. We have grants in place for the pump out boat. We can't increase those fees. That was set in that grant. So they pay for the boat, they set the fee. We can only do a 1,000-mile radius, you know, from the original spot. So you think about 1,000, it's not 1,000 miles, excuse me. 1,000 feet radius, you know, so.
Wow, that's, we
Yes.
really
So what that does is it allows you basically to that back bay, you know. And over this past year, we were able to help some of our neighbors, you know, out of a situation that they were in. We can look to those neighbors now and ask them for help when we move forward for parking or things like that on the other side of the bay. So it's just being a good neighbor back there. You know, it's not just the island. We need to be a good neighbor for the unincorporated Lee County part of it as well. And then to the south end of the island. There are opportunities for us to expand. There's an easement that the town owns down by Island, across from Island's End condos, and
Amberjack, no.
Amberjack.
Amberjack?
Whatever that last street is.
Amberjack, maybe. I think it's Amberjack.
Escalita?
Escalita.
Escalita. Well, then it goes to Amberjack.
It does, right.
The end of, yeah.
But there's an easement in there that was given to the town a long time ago through the county. And so we have a long-term thought of developing that into a pier or a dock of some type, you know, to help people coming in through new bridge access. So there's a lot of things always in flux, and we never quit looking. I can tell you that. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Is there room there for upland facilities in the easement?
We're looking at that as well. There's an opportunity possibly coming up with, again, a former owner in that group of area of businesses down there that is looking to redo a piece of property that he has, and he's reached out to the town. Again, I'm open to anything. You know, I owe it to my staff, I owe it to the town to give us the best way. Our long-term goal is to have our own independent facility, our own jewel, so to speak. You know, I think you've heard the LPA, you've heard Anita talk about that jewel when you come over that bridge. That view is the jewel that we all look at, right? I want, when people come and hook up to our mooring field, they already have a top-notch harbor master. I want them to also have a top-notch facility. And that may be a couple of years out, but it's going to happen. And just like when people said development wouldn't happen, it's happening. The right kind of development. So we just never quit trying. And
Just
I
keep
think
in
Jim can
mind,
attest to
when
that.
that happens, we do get our own facilities and stuff like that. I mean, that deficit number we're looking at is going
Right.
to get cut, because that's money we're paying through upland facilities. Now that's included in that number. So,
That is correct,
so
Jim, yeah.
everything's going to kind of come back
Yeah.
down to that even.
That's about
Hopefully
$3,000 a
soon,
year.
You know, this is all the goal. you
The
know.
rent at Kansas it works out to about $3,000 a year, I believe. Right, you're $250 a month-ish.
Correct, yes, sir.
But if you have better facilities, you could probably charge a little bit more for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
mooring.
absolutely, absolutely.
And we never quit looking for that partner.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the
absolutely.
facility that just got approved, you know, even though they didn't have that in their plan, we've had discussions afterwards of what could happen. But again, you're looking at 5 to maybe 8 years before they even put a shovel in the ground for that project. You know, we can't wait that long, so
But
we
with the
know
number
that.
of 215, you know, if balls 5 through 9, if we could get those open
Correct.
again, the $250,000,
Uh-huh.
$500,000, that's
Absolutely. I
Definitely.
mean, there's a lot of room for improvement here and stuff like that. We're working very hard to get those balls back.
We had that discussion yesterday, in fact, in my office, of how we can approach. There's a couple of different partners that have to be involved in that dance, the Coast Guard, the Army Corps, and getting them all to understand the town's point of view and how we were going to address it, Curtis and I. So yeah, we have a plan in place that I think is a good plan and can definitely be effective, especially with the Corps coming through here in dredging, you know, which is going to be happening soon.
So for this next budget year, what are your major goals, challenges, and how can this committee help? What do you look to us for?
Well, we need all the lemonade stands and cookie bakes that we can get. I mean, and I mean that kind of in a sincere way. We're at that juncture where the free money's gone. So after a major event like Ian was to this area, everybody steps in, the federal government, the state government, and they allow for the ability to take grants with not matching parts, right? So they're gifting you that money to do with, and you have to be accountable to that. Now we're back into that lap grant stage where, yes, if we write a good grant, just last year was a good case in point. We wrote one for stormwater, for road paving, and I forgot what the third one was. But we had to show the state that we had the other part of that money to do that project. That gets a little tougher, right? So there are still free money out there, but you just have to be really, really good at turning over those rocks. We have a great staff at the town that does that. We've been very successful in the last 3 years, bringing in a good chunk of change. I'll just leave it at that. For a lot of projects here, it's utmost on my radar to make sure that this mooring field succeeds. That was a commitment that I made to this young man when I brought him down from Jacksonville. So I wouldn't have done that just thinking, oh God, I got somebody to take that job. You know, I invested in him as much as the town is going to invest into that mooring field. And that's kind of the synergy that we need moving forward. My projection going into this next budget year is I know that we're going to increase, barring any major disaster, right? Those numbers are going to increase in the mooring field. I know that through good conversation and negotiation, we can get that rest of that mooring field back in operation and back where it needs to be to bring in that additional revenue. I know that we can make adjustments to get more people down here. We know that probably going into the middle of this year, we're going to have to look hard at how we can raise those rates. Not up to the ceiling, but we don't want to be the cheapest either. You know, we want to be somewhere in the middle, and that kind of, it sets the tone, right? If you're paying X amount of dollars, it's like going to Disney World. If you go to the kids' portion or where the kids' hotels are, you know what you're getting for $99 a night. Kids running up and down the hall screaming, you know, all that kind of stuff. If you go to the Grand Floridian or one of those and you're paying $500 to $600 a night, it's quiet. You have the nice cocktail lounges, you have those. Somewhere in between is where we want to be, at least for the next 2 or 3 years as we grow. Then you can sit there and sit back in your chair and say, look what the town of Fort Myers has. We have a beautiful beach, we have all these hotels, we have all these businesses. Look at our downtown area, totally revitalized. That's what we have to offer, and that's a marketer's dream. We just need to get to that point.
Can I just back up for a second? You mentioned the core dredging, and
Yep.
dredging is kind of like a buzzword when you said that.
No, I got an email from Chad. He's been staying on top of that. It's happening pretty quick.
Correct.
Where would they-
I actually printed this sheet out for y'all today, for y'all to look over. This is
Okay.
kind of the proposal and the path forward
Okay, yep, got that.
for the town. So, Chad, specifically told me to share this with y'all today and kind of get the ball rolling.
Okay, so we'll visit that,
Yeah.
we'll visit that later, okay?
All right, I've had a lot of questions, Frankie. What questions do you have for us?
I just appreciate you as a group, because when you had your little cruisers night, and you hear the comments in the back of the room, right? The people that aren't involved in the boating community and saying, oh God, why is the town doing this? And then you realize how many people showed up. They didn't just show up for the food. They showed up for the fellowship, and they showed up because they're boaters, right? It's the same thing as if you're a car enthusiast or a motorcycle enthusiast. If you have that core group, they're going to show up and they're going to help you. That's what I see moving forward, is relying on that boating community to help us grow, right?
and Frank,
This is where we can get, but we're going to need that little push.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
I think another thing that we did this past year was we included more of a marine educational type setting with the booths that we had, and that allowed people to also get an idea about environmental things.
You created a bigger footprint.
Right, it was, so it had to do with more than just boaters. I mean, it gave an opportunity to the people in town that maybe live on a canal. They could go to organizations, ask questions, get information.
And we have a very good tool to help you with that too, if you want to get that part of the message, and that is Chad. You could ask Chad to come to one of your meetings. I know he does the Murph meeting in that, but he has an awful lot more to offer to that. He's working with FGCU, water school, things like that. I know Mound House has a water filter station,
Right.
and that at the Mound House. These are things that people want to get involved in, right? Like I talked about that beautiful Back Bay. My first trip here 10 years ago, the Gulf is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it was slathered with tourists. I was drawn to the Back Bay. So as we drove up and down the streets, just my wife and I looking at all the houses and the little houses back then, the little shacks and that kind of stuff. And every once in a while you get a glimpse of that bay. And I remember going down Connecticut Street, and I think the Mount House was closed at that time. The gate was locked. So we parked our car right by the gate, and we got out, and you could see just that water. And I could see out 50 feet into that water, and it just, that's what it means to me. It goes away real quick. it's harder to ever get it back. So that's the important part about it. If you're a boater, you love the environment. You love the marine environment. And if you're a boater that's just sitting there a weekend throwing your beer cans in it, you're not a boater. You know, you're a slug that don't have anything else to do. We want the good boaters. We want the people that appreciate the fact that it's no different than having a good car. You have an expensive car, you don't want to go down a gravel road. You tell the people, hey, I need a good road to take my car down. And that's our highway. So we have to really manage it well. And I think the cooperation and the work that Curtis and Chad do together, I think that really helps get it. And he already knew that when he came down here. I mean, it's nothing new I'm telling him. But that's the message that we can get out there. We've got something to offer that no other community has around here. You know, we're different than Sanibel, right? You know, we're not an environmental island. They were set that long time ago. We struggled to find our identity. Going forward, I think Ian kind of helped us with that. You know, we're going to be an identity of mostly new homes being built. You know, our demographic changes a little bit, but one thing that doesn't have to change is how we treat the environment and what we have to offer people that come here. You know, it's not just that beautiful beach, it's also that pristine bay. You know, and you can access both from a boat. So that's the key thing.
Yes, while you're still here, and this might be more for the Vice Mayor, since we're going to take on some of this dredging here, Marco Island's doing 100 miles, Cape Coral's doing 2 or 3 times that. Is there any way we can reach out to them for, you know, to help with our permitting and more so even the property rights, since that might be an issue? Are we working with them, or do we have any connections?
I do have connections, but it's almost 2 different processes. Yes, they're doing dredging, and yes, they're doing their canals. The city of Cape Coral has done their own dredging for years. I live on a canal. They do that. So it's not like a firm coming in here and doing it. They have their own barge, their own, and they just make the accesses clean out. They're not just doing that. They are doing some major work as well. But those they got federal grants for.
How about Marco? Is Marco similar to
I don't know about Marco, and the only reason I say that is the reason that the town got dinged from FEMA was we never could show a maintenance plan. So from the time that we were incorporated up until the time Ian hit, the town never took it upon itself to do any type of maintenance work on those canals as far as dredging goes.
So we're back to scratch, starting from scratch.
So when FEMA comes in here, they're more than happy to give you money to help that. But you have to prove that you had done it in the past. You can't just say, oh, I promise to do it from here on out. They know that, but that's what put the town of Fort Myers Beach back. Because previous to Ian, you know, with everything else going on, whether it just slipped through the cracks or they just didn't want to do it, it never was done.
Just to reiterate the importance of the canal cleanup and the debris removal, why that was so important, because now that's our maintenance records and our logs to
moving forward
for the dredging.
Moving forward, God forbid we are ever in that situation again. But if we are, that is something that we could actually do again. So.
Committee, what other questions? On anything?
Does the town have, or are you working on the organizational chart so you can follow who's at they're wearing today?
Would be swell.
We definitely do, and we can definitely get that too and share with the chairwoman and members of this committee. Yeah, it was just a brief little thing that it kind of happened for about a month or so, and a lot of things were happening during that month. But yeah, originally it was under community development or under me when I got here 3 years ago. It's not going away anytime soon.
So an org chart, does the town have an org chart?
We do have an updated org chart. We can get that.
Can you just give us a link to it?
Yep.
We can take a look at it. That'd be swell. Ed, any other questions? Sam?
And I just wanted to give you this opportunity, Frankie, because with these deficit numbers that have been centered around the mooring field, and obviously some of that's going to be clarified in the next few weeks, there have been some, and I'm not necessarily an advocate for this, but I wanted to give the opportunity to sort of opine on it. There have been some that have suggested that the mooring field is in a public entity, is in competition with our local marinas, and puts them at a competitive disadvantage, A, and B, there's been others who've suggested that maybe those marinas could take over the mooring fields and run them and take the town out of that business. Would you comment on both of those theories? Because I know you've thought about this a lot.
Yeah, I don't like the fact of somebody taking over something that we fought hard to get and are fighting currently even harder to keep. It's not a financial burden on the town, nor is it a financial hardship on a marina to have a town with a mooring field. We can prove those stats up and down the coast for the towns that do have operated, or the cities or counties that operate a mooring field, basis of all the major marinas in their area too. Where it becomes a conflict is when we're doing services that they don't offer. The only service we have is a pump-out boat, and we service those marinas as well. And I would like to get to the point where they do come to a town hall meeting and do say, hey, I don't know what you guys are doing, but you got to stop. Because then we'll know that we've gotten there, right? With our service, which is already 5-star based on even where it's at. But as far as what we have to offer, right? Our upland services, our office, just our whole general being, a place to call our own, right? And if we make that, nobody's going to take that away from this town. Competitive, what do we do? It's more expensive to go to any one of these marinas and hook up in a wet slip than it is on our mooring wall. You know, and that's part of the thing that we kind of got to look at, and per night, and that's the thing that we got to look at so we can be more competitive. We're not trying to take people away from dry dock or wet slips that are around the island.
I mean, piggyback on that, and I mean, if anything, I get phone calls asking for certain amenities that we don't have. So I mean, my first recommendation is to these other marinas. I give them I recommend them the business. And
If you
like
talk
that.
to the
So
actual
we-
marina operators, cooperation, it exists, and I think it's good, and it's only going to get better. I think some of that backbiting that you hear aren't from people that even have a dog in that fight, and sometimes they're the ones that kind of muddy the waters. We're going to do everything that we can within a fiscally responsible way to get this to be the best operation on the West Coast.
Thanks. I just want to give you an opportunity to talk
Thank
about
you.
that.
And it's just not about, just to us as a mooring field. My goal here when I came here was to bring everybody together, right? It's just not about the town's mooring field, right? It's about all the entities in the back bay, right? Like we want to work as a team back there. We don't want to take business or anything like that. And I think just like Frankie said, if you talk to the operators and stuff, we have a very good working relationship and everything. So I'm not here to take business away from anybody. If anything, I'm here to work with them. So.
Okay, one small potatoes question. At our last meeting, we made a motion to ask the council to keep the money that we had as an overage from cruisers, $1,577.36, and appropriate as another $500. What do we need to do to take that forward? Did you already do that?
I got your answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to council and you're going to have to request
Okay.
that. Just like we do, council has the committee reports, I guess.
Okay.
That's when you're going to have to go and ask for that, and that's along with the $500 extra to the $1,500.
All right, then I guess I will make an appointment to go to council at their next meeting.
Just ask that tall guy.
And that's gonna be a busy meeting, so get there early.
Yes.
But if I could just say one thing, Madam Chairman, is I really appreciate all of you investing your own time to make this a success. You don't have to be here. You chose to be here. And your interests should align with our interests. Curtis will tell you, we don't keep anything away. We're totally transparent in what we're trying to accomplish. You basically see what we have. Hopefully it multiplies and grows very quickly here, and that was our thought. Like I said, I wouldn't have asked him to leave and uproot his family and come down here if I didn't think that he was the right choice to make that turn. And we just had a little setback last year. We have a little setback here. Every town does, every place does. We'll get through this, and you'll see what we can do. So thank you.
Thank you very much for spending so much time with us. Appreciate it, Frankie. Yes. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
I don't think she got introduced.
Oh, well, I met her. You want to say hello to all of us? And sure, put yourself on camera. It's all right.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting to be introduced, but it's a pleasure to meet you all. I'm the Community Development Manager for the town, and it's been a pleasure to work here for 6 months now.
And your name is?
Georgina.
Okay.
Sorry, Georgina Sidden.
Georgina, there's a lot of people interested in what you do. Could you just clarify a little bit more about what your responsibilities are? Because I think you play a key role in this town, and I don't think people need to know who you are.
Of course. It would be my pleasure to say that. I basically monitor the permitting, planning, and zoning departments. I assist with the whole process from the application of the permit all the way through the reviews with Chad, with the floodplain managers, with the planning staff, to make sure that the process goes smoothly, and I'm just trying to help out as much as I can, learn as much as I can, move the process forward so that it's easy and easy to follow, pretty much.
Thank you, Georgina.
It's my pleasure. Have a good day, everybody.
You too. All right, Curtis,
Alrighty.
you're up.
Alrighty, sounds good. So, things to discuss or some updates for you all. So, got an update on the construction of our boat. Right now, it's being the bottom painting is being done right now. We have an estimated a completion of October 28th right now. So we're very excited about that. I'm looking forward to the new boat for sure. So, and then next up is the dinghy dock, right? We've all been anticipating this, especially me, but I got an installment date of September 1st right now. So it's going to happen in a couple weeks. We are making arrangements, planning accordingly down in the mooring field. We have to, we're going to be blocking off some parking spots underneath the bridge right there as you come off the dinghy dock. So that parking lot pretty much is going to be taped off for that week, probably starting the weekend before the 1st. So I know that's a holiday weekend, but
It's next weekend.
I know, we have to, that's what it is, so.
Do we have some temporary dinghy dock at Jivitan's as well?
Yeah, so what is gonna happen is, we're gonna take one of our docks that we have right now, and we're gonna lay it up alongside the Matanzas dock. We got permission to do so. That's the plan. But everything, I don't expect this project to take too long. Everything has been prefabbed and all that, so it's pretty much just taking the old one out, sliding it in. The biggest holdup is probably going to be putting on the extensions to the piles, or the part of the project that will take the longest, right? Hopefully.
Any new pilings at all, or we're using what was there?
We're using what we have. We're just going to put 4-foot extensions on top of this. So I discussed about the funding for the cruisers. So we mentioned that. Now the boat ramps and stuff like that, getting those resurfaced or re-graveled. I'm in the talks with the town to kind of push that, but kind of like what Frankie mentioned right now with the funding and everything with the town, it's a little bit difficult. So we're trying to get through this, the end of this fiscal year. We'll see what we have left over to move forward on that. Frankie talked a little bit about our offices and that we are trying very hard to get us out of the trailers, like you said. So, you know, we're always kind of looking, like Ricky said, we have some ideas in place right now. So once those get a little bit more firm, we will share that with you.
Sam had said something that was interesting to me that I didn't know. So at Harbor House, where our old office was,
Correct.
the condo that we utilized within Harbor House was owned by Matanzas?
Correct.
It just happened to be,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
because they had it.
okay.
Yeah. So, and they own the other space around the corner from it as well.
And that's already been rented to someone else then?
No,
So is there
no,
still?
no, it's vacant right now.
Is there a chance we could go
So,
back?
it is, but it all depends on the funding of the town right now. So, I just got notice that it could be available to rent again. I know the owner was, he did not want to rent. We asked him to rent. He did not. He wanted to sell both units in one set price. So, but, the town was not interested in doing it. So, we would be looking at renting if that works out. So. That's pretty much my updates right now. I do have, okay, so actually I wanted to share this, like going back to last meeting, right? For the reports that I given you and the numbers, I know that it was kind of a lot of confusion there. So we generated this report, and I hope this is going to work out a lot better. And I think it's a lot easier to understand as well. So what I have here, you're looking at the month of July, right? And so if you see space group, these are the amount of 40 footers in the reservations that we had. And these are the boats we had in these spaces. So we had 11 boats in the 40-foot spaces for the month of July. This shows you the space name of what ball it's on. And then it shows you how many nights they have been in the mooring field and the dates that the reservation started and where it's at right now. And then that goes down to the 50 footers, which we had 35 reservations for that month. 60 footers we had 8. The 70 footers we had the 4, and then we had the 2 for the 80 footers. And the last page is the number of pump outs that we conducted for the month, and then also you have the revenue, you have last year's revenue, and then you have 2023's revenue, which was not much, so it's coming off the 80, right? So
How is the revenue number different from revenue from 2024? Why is that disparate?
what do you mean? Why are we down?
Well, no. I mean, there's revenue. Oh, I'm sorry, because we're in 2025. Dude, sorry. I'm not tracking there.
And that was the revenue for the month.
Just the month of
Correct.
July.
Great.
So we have a historical view at, let's say, Lumu has been with us for 230 nights. We know that, but you're only ascribing the amount of nights to this revenue figure that are in July.
Correct. Yes.
And is this easy for you to pull from DocWell without any manipulation?
Yep. We've had to work on it, but it's not, like I said, it's similar to the reports we have to pull from revenue and stuff like that. So we just added some line items and, kind of divided some things up so it would be better for you all and to separate the numbers.
I think this will be very nice to analyze and graph.
Correct.
Very nice.
This will be something I can provide with you all each meeting, each monthly meeting.
See, I just had a query from our friends at Beach Talk Radio.
Okay.
This information is not in the agenda packet. Is there a way we could put it in the agenda packet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I
I
think-
this in here.
Yeah, and then is
What
this?
do you want me to list this as like change past reservations for the monthly reservations or whatever? Okay.
This is in the agenda packet though, right? This
The canal was.
canal dredging
No.
proposal?
No, it is not.
Because that's going to be interesting. A lot of people on the island are going to be very interested in this. So could you somehow include that electronically so the public could have access to that? Have
Yep.
Nicole send that to the.
Yeah, I will ask if we can put that in there now.
Our friends at Beach Talk Radio are watching as we speak, and they're interested in getting this out to their listeners, so. I was asked to ask you, yeah.
When you brought up revenue, just the last discussion we had before the vice mayor spoke, there's no revenue on this sheet other than for the pump outs.
No, that's the total, that's not pump outs.
Yeah.
Pump outs 55 pump outs. I know, it's where it's
Okay.
is.
That's not related necessarily, it's included in the overall revenue total, but.
That's just 55 pump outs.
Chris, there's literally more than 3 times, almost 4 times what we did last year in revenue.
2 years ago.
No, 2 years. 2024, we're down
That's
slightly.
25. He didn't cut.
So
That's
maybe
25.
That's like a monthly reservation
So
waiver.
Yeah. So why don't
Got
you
it.
put a 2025 in that revenue, so we're just
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
But 2025 recurrent.
Does that make sense to you, Ed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I thought it was all pump outs that the.
No,
that the
pump outs is
revenue
just
was.
sort of a number. And are we still charging $5 for pump outs? Is that what it is?
That is the vessels that are not in Anchorage. I mean that are in Anchorage, not in the mooring field. We are if you stay in the mooring field, pump out
It's
is
free.
included.
Okay.
Correct, yes, sir.
And we have a lot more. The 55 is just the people that were outside of the mooring field, or is that total pump outs?
No, that's total pump outs for the month right now.
Is that number about the same as year over year, or are we a little higher?
No, we're a little low right now.
We're a
We're
little
low
low.
because we're at the slowest part of our season right now.
Like-
Yeah, I know, but I mean year over year.
Year over year, I'm not sure. That's something I have to check. I don't even know. We
So
even
if
counted
there's-
that before, so I gotta go back.
But that would be
and look.
another nice thing if you could add a year over year thing to show us
Okay.
kind of a year to date or a year over year.
Yeah, I just think it'd be
Where
interesting
we
when
are.
you look at the pump outs and the occupancy, it'd be an interesting number to see how they correlate, and also how many extra pump outs we're doing along the way, aside from people in the mooring field.
If we have 40 boats on the mooring field all month long, we're only doing 55 pump outs.
Yeah.
Does that seem low? Or some people aren't pumping out because they're either not
Correct,
dry
correct, because
storing
they.
Or once every 2 weeks.
Correct, a lot of people are not on their boats right now. Other people's have,
Big tanks.
Bigger tanks or, suppository heads, so, they don't need pump outs, so, that's why you
Okay.
think that number's a little low, so,
That makes sense.
it varies.
Chris, I just kind of scanned this real quickly, and it appears to me that we have about 30 people that are what I would consider long-term
Correct,
people, like
Correct.
over 100 days.
correct.
Is that pretty typical for us, or is that?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And remind me, was there a length of stay that was a maximum or not?
So you can do a maximum reservation on Docwa for 6 months. There isn't a max of how long you can stay in the mooring field. I have people that live on their vessels.
Right, and they would just renew that every 6
Correct.
months.
They were-
Correct.
They can't be more than 10% of moorings, of people who stay longer than 6 months.
The official
So are we-
boards. The
Yeah, the
live
official
boards,
live aboard, people who live in
Yeah.
there full time. Now, I mean, their boat can stay there as long as they want to, if they keep paying. I got people's boats that's been there
But-
for a long time, but they're not living on it. It's more of a
Yeah,
storage situation
right.
for them.
So the number of liveaboards longer than 6 months, they're less than 10%.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I want to say that. I mean, I don't have the exact number. I mean,
That was a
I gotta
regulation.
go talk to
so we-
everybody, be like, are you living here full time? You know what I mean?
Right, I
Like,
don't know how you
know
regulate
if
that,
that's-
but what document is that from?
Is that the
that
land lease or
regulation?
the ordinance?
I'll have to go back and look, but
Okay.
it's.
I think
it
it's
was a-
everything.
It's a land lease.
It sounds
We,
like-
they wanted to restrict to a certain number, and there were arguments about how many we could have, and the last number I remember was 10%. And that's,
I think 10, a total of 10.
Was
Not
that-
10%, I think it was 10,
that was
10 people.
10 people, as
That
opposed to 10%.
I think that was in the
That was to
land
keep the
It's
Morgan
in
Field
the-
moving
yeah, it's in the
because our,
land lease.
I mean, right now, I can only think of probably two people
Oh,
right
okay.
now that are
Goes with it.
actual, that, from Fort Myers that live on the
And I'm sure it's, guards against there with
But a
vessels
lot of
as
them-
well, people
A
who.
lot of people will come here, they'll stay for a year, and then they'll move on, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I think this
so
is.
it's hard to kind of get that number or
Well,
ask somebody
the
that.
rule was that liveaboard, not dry storage, but liveaboards who were there for longer than 6 months had to leave and come back. And so they were assigned, I guess it was 10 balls, and that was all you could use for that purpose. So it was trying to limit people who just moved in and lived there beyond 10 people.
But there was a walk around. There was a walk around for leaving, coming back. Work around, walk around.
Yeah,
but-
walking on water.
Yeah. But there was people that there was a method to stay, whether it was leave and come back or have another permanent address, or that's in the documents, our original documents that we
Yeah,
had.
but in truth, apparently we're not anywhere near that number, so that's not a problem. So just be aware of it.
Any other questions about his reports? And also, Ted, was that something that you put into the packet you want to talk about?
Sure. Curtis very kindly shared with me a monthly calendar with a number of days. There were nights that were used each day. And this is data that we used to keep, or it was kept in somewhat erratically. And the
You can look at it.
May, the average occupancy was 43.7, June 38.4, July 38.3, and August 38.2. I don't know whether you can see it from here, but the little line down there is the occupancy during that whole time, and that's how much it varies. I am trying to analyze it for, okay, is there a pattern for each week? And I could not find any pattern, for each day of the week.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any pattern for the day of the week. And in this as well is a graph of the yearly occupancy from 2009 to 10, and the occupancy during the months that we now have is well within the range of previous years. The previous data was distorted because of reporting as people change in the office, it went badly, and it looks like the last couple of these are out of bounds and probably not correct. But in general, we've got all the months and through the years of occupancy. And for this time of the year, we're in the same general way that we have been previously. So it's not particularly up or down. And we'll have to see for the rest of the month. I was surprised that we have 70 balls, and we're not all usable. How many usable?
We have 89 mooring balls, 7 of them are not in service right now.
So we got 80, is that what it?
89.
89 total.
Yeah, okay. And we're therefore, on the average, monthly average, half full. So,
Yeah, correct.
So that gives us lots of room for improvement. And I assume that warrants some advertising and whatever we can do.
And that's where the marketing plan and things like that,
Yeah.
nature of the work. So we have an idea of kind of promoting that on boat shows and stuff like that to try to get something.
We've already gone up to about where we were before all the crashes. And it's encouraging, and it looks like a lot of room for increasing our income.
And the biggest part is like these downlets, right? What can we do to fill more spaces now, right? I mean, we do very well during season, right? You know, so it's like what we're looking at as a team, like, you know, what can we do to bring people in the off season, right? So I mean, that's where we can increase our revenue more, that will help with the deficit, you know, all the above, right? So
There's
We
a couple
also
things.
have room to improve during the season, because
yes, correct.
when you look across the graph, there are only a couple of months above 60, and so we across the board we need to improve.
Absolutely.
Well, and now that we're getting more events during the off-season, and we'll have more restaurants and shops and things in the season coming up, that makes another, you know, opportunity to promote what's going on the island, that it's just not a nothing during the summer. Although I will say it is awfully nice to be able to drive around on the island from the south end.
I don't know
Summer.
how we communicate it, but we've got now 2 concerts at Bayside,
Yeah.
Fridays and Sundays,
Yeah.
and we have the markets opening again on San Carlos coming up. I don't know how we put that out to any customer.
I will say, we reached out to the Chamber of Commerce. They are sending us all their like newsletters and events they have for the town, so we can try to promote that off of our social media pages for the Martinez Pass Point-Field, and kind of, you know, help the town and us, right? Try to get more boats into the mooring field to come see the concerts, maybe, you know, come in for a night stay, you know, that kind of thing. So that's
To Sam's point, the farmer's market's coming back at the Moss Marine property,
okay.
not Times Square. So
All walking
Okay,
distance.
awesome.
yeah, all walking distance.
Okay.
But didn't we I thought we added the link to the Chamber's information and calendar to our DACWA site?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so that's
correct.
there and that's already.
But I'm saying, like, we can do posts to
Well,
get people
yeah.
out there, so it's just not, yes, correct.
Any other questions or thoughts about the documentation that Ted and Curtis put together? Looking good for you guys, answering your questions? Curtis, do you want to talk at all about this, or is that premature to talk about this plan? I mean,
What I can do is kind of just have y'all, I can bring this back up next meeting. I
Okay.
just wanted to get it out there for y'all, and for y'all to review it. And like I said, I could put this on the agenda for next meeting. We can discuss it more. I can even get Chad down here with us to kind of.
And Madam Chair, what you're referring to is the document that's entitled FMB Canal and Channel Dredge Funding Path Forward.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I just go back to what the Corps is gonna dredge?
Say again?
Frankie said the Corps was gonna come in and dredge.
So there's a
Just
project
what
being
area?
done for the Matanzas Pass, Matanzas Pass. So, after the beach renourishment project, a channel has moved. There's a shoal that goes into the channel, so they're gonna realign the channel, so there's gonna be some dredging and stuff.
At Bowditch Point.
Yeah, correct.
So it goes from Bowditch to the bridge, or
No,
just?
no, it's just that turn where the pass is right there.
Which they
That is
adjust about every
Alice
2 or 3
Farm.
years
We're trying to.
with markers anyways.
Yes, we're trying to, we're trying to work with them to see if they will realign more of the channel to get more balls in, but that's not been a fun, so.
'Cause we only need a couple
I don't want to elaborate
feet.
too much on that, because it's still
We only need a few
in
feet to
discussion.
for those to work. We only need a few feet to get those 50-foot, to get those unusable walls to work. We just need a little bit more space.
Correct, but you're fighting there because that's it's a tight turn right there, so we really don't have a lot of space to work with. It's kind of a fine line. So that's where, that's Army Corps, but also that's where we're trying to Coast Guard, on it as well. So, but that's probably going to be separate from that project, the opening of those 6 balls. So we think we can get them in that project. So it's going to have to be a separate discussion, and that's what we're working on now. So.
Could I ask a procedural question, Madam Chair? This FMB Canal and Channel Dredge funding document, path forward, is this being brought forward just to the Anchorage Advisory Committee, or is it also going to the MRF Committee?
No, this is going from the MRF Committee. Chad asked me to bring this to my committee here to y'all to get y'all to kind of get on board with it and everything, so we can promote this and move this forward.
And I say this in a completely collaborative way, but do we have a sense as to which committee will have jurisdiction over this project? Will it be joint jurisdiction? Will it be MRF? Will it be Anchorage? Do we know yet?
We don't know that yet. It's going to be a joint thing mainly, but we don't have a contract. I mean, Chad is pushing this whole thing. We're working in hand, so that's just where we're at. It's at the beginning stages to push this.
Trying to understand what the thought is. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it, that it's this committee's purview from a navigational perspective, but probably MRF's purview from an environmental impact. So
Correct.
there might be overlap there, 2 different perspectives coming together to make sure that everything is covered.
Definitely going to be heavy lift. Yeah.
Curtis, it sounds like you want to maybe hold this to the next meeting.
Correct. I just wanted to get in front of y'all now. You have an idea of where we're looking and what we're going to be pushing, and I'm discussing in the future.
Again, just scanning through this, I see that the assessment resolution has to be adopted prior to September 15th of each year. So that any dredging that we would do potentially would be next year.
Correct. There's nothing happening this year. We're not even.
And when I see
not even ready. There's not funding available. Nothing's happening this year at all. And I've tried to mention that before, earlier on in the year and stuff like that.
But when we say year, you mean fiscal year.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So part of the reason that we wanted Frankie to come talk to us and kind of give us the overview of the department and the way forward for the boring field was to understand vision and how we can support that vision. So you all should have that FMB Anchorage Advisory Committee charter information. Talk to us about where we are with revising the ordinance and how we should think about updating our roles and responsibilities. If you look at page 5 through 5 and 6, it kind of compares what's in the existing ordinance and some things that I put in that I think maybe are better and more aligned to what we really do rather than some of the things that were in that ordinance from years ago. So how do you think is the best way forward? And I know, Ted, you definitely have a perspective on this. So.
Yeah, but we're going to discuss it.
Yeah.
Future,
yeah. So
yeah.
Where are we with this ordinance? How soon do we need to make some suggestions for the updating of the ordinance? Because I think that's what this is predicated on.
I say let's make this one of the main topics for next meeting.
Okay.
Let's start really diving into that.
Okay.
I need y'all's suggestions of what we think that we need to add to it. Then I will bring it in front of Frankie, and then we'll discuss and we'll add to it and make the revision for the ordinance. And then I will get with them to see if we were going to add anything for emergency response. Last time I talked to Frankie, emergency response is kind of already kind of part of what we do. You know what I mean? If there's an emergency on the water, and us as a captain, right? Once you receive your captain's license, it's your duty to if there's an emergency on the water to lend a helping hand, report it to the Coast Guard, do whatever needs. So that's kind of within our job duties already. That's kind of the known, I guess, for us. So if there is a major emergency on the water, God forbid something happens in the ocean or whatever, right? you know, we're going to help out as much as we can, and especially if we are the first ones on scene, right? We're going to do whatever we can to make the situation safe until higher up authorities get on scene and take over, right? So that's always kind of that's already, you know, in our job description and everything. So, but yes, I'd love to get rolling on this. I know that there's been some bumps in the road and stuff, and this has been put on hold for a little while. So it's something that I want to start, get this done at least. You know, if we can shoot to kind of have everything in by October, you know what I mean, and that's start of the new fiscal year. And if we can, you know, so next meeting, let's bring all the suggestions and, you know, the verbiage of what we want to put in.
Yeah.
For us here, and then we'll move forward and try to make that revision.
And we should be able to meet in the new town hall next time, correct?
Yes, because there is, I just got word today that there is going to be, it's going to be opening in September, I believe.
September 10th.
Is
Yes,
the
Nine
grand
to
opening.
is the ribbon cutting
So-
ceremony. So
Just one question, are they gonna keep that room a little warmer than the current?
I hope so.
BYOB, bring your own blanket.
I swear they're gonna open an ice rink in this place
Yeah.
pretty soon. It's gonna start snowing.
So hopefully, maybe there's like either a whiteboard in that room or a clipboard or something so that we can write some things.
I'm sure they'll have something. If not, then
Do we have a
then
date
I'll
for
get
that,
something
for that
for it.
September meeting? For
Yes, it is September 22nd. And that'll be at
At
9
what-
a.m.
9 a.m.?
So anything else for Curtis?
Yes.
All
I
right.
have one thing.
Is this a member item or is this a Curtis?
This is a Curtis item, I
Okay,
think.
all right.
So it is hurricane season, and I had a thought that maybe you could get together with Nicole, and if there is a storm getting close, you're going to be super busy. And I wondered if you could put together a quick email. Can you email all the people on the Anchorage at once just by sending?
By Anchorage, by the
that
Anchorages?
is- no, they're on the
mooring
mooring
field
field.
itself, we already do that.
That's
already-
okay. So what I would suggest that if there is a tropical storm or hurricane within 24 hours imminent, it's a watch. If it's a warning, it's 48 hours.
Correct.
And there's also something that's called in the box. It's a real estate thing, but I think it's a common thing. It's in a certain perimeter or something that's for insurance companies. Is there any way you could pre-write those things that if there is a storm that gets close, with instructions to the boaters that there's a major hurricane coming, we suggest you leave. However, if you don't, chafe guard or a safe harbor, you know, for those different circumstances of a hurricane warning, watch, and possible and a tropical storm warning, watch, to tell them to either beef up or find safe harbor. You know, probably if there's going to be a hurricane warning, it would be please try to find somewhere else. If you don't, you know, we'll take you or we'll keep you, but maybe some tips on it. That way, if something's coming, you're going to be scrambling anyways. You can just hit that or have
No,
Nicole.
last year we did post stuff online about that. And
Okay.
for-
So you already
for
have
people
something
to
ready
get
to
off.
go.
Correct.
You already have some kind of ready to go with what your thoughts are.
Absolutely.
Instructions to them.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to be looking at Weather Channel and everything else,
Oh, yeah.
where the instructions from you might be more important because, you know, they're at the field.
Well, I think-
And I speak to the boaters too that are,
Right.
you know, that are here right now and stuff like that. Like I have a couple boaters that came in this week and they were, you know, taking down their sails and getting prepped and stuff like that. So, but we definitely communicate with the boaters that are in the mooring field. We send them mass emails out and that stuff. I know that y'all don't see, right? But and I know that we piggyback off of like, you know, what Lee County says with hurricane warnings and stuff like that. So
You got one ready to go. You don't
we
have to start from
posted
scratch.
Posted them before prior.
And you don't have to start from scratch. You got something ready to go where you can just adjust it for the circumstance.
For the most part, yes.
Good.
But your recommendation, as you mentioned at the last meeting, is for them to leave.
Yes, I do. I recommend our long-term people or somebody, especially the liver boards, right, is, you know, get your vessel underway and seek better water. You know, a lot of people will go up to the locks, frequent locks in LaBelle. A lot of people go up to LaBelle, and you know, and that's kind of more of a safer haven than we are here, right? So, but also, you know, I can only recommend so much. Ultimately, it's up to the boater, and you know, they are at their own risk at that point, and they understand that. So.
Anything else for Curtis?
No.
Okay. Public comment?
I got one more thing I got to do.
Okay.
So I have a public service announcement I have to do.
Okay.
So it is for, obviously we have, we're going to have three openings coming up for our committee here. It's going to be Chairman King, Ron Fleming, and Ed Schoonover. So I recommend y'all to put in an application if you haven't already. And I have to read this announcement for you know, anybody else in the public that wants to put in an application to join our committee here. So you know, bear with me in my speech here, but I'm going to read this here. Public announcement, advisory committee vacancies. As a reminder, members of the town advisory committees are appointed by the town council to serve 2-year terms. The current terms for several committee members are set to expire on September 30th, 2025, which will result in vacancies on the following committees: Anchorage Advisory Committee 3, Audit Committee 3, Bay Oaks Recreational Center Advisory Board 4, Marine Environmental Resources Task Force 3, Public Safety Committee 3. In anticipation of these vacancies, the town is now accepting applications from the residents who are interested in serving their community through the participation of one of our advisory committees. A description of each committee's roles and responsibilities, along with membership requirements, may be found on the town's website. We encourage residents who are passionate about civic engagement and public service to apply. Applications must be submitted to the town clerk no later than Friday, September 12th, 2025. To be considered for appointment by the town council at its meeting scheduled for October 2nd, 2025. For more information and to access applications, please visit the town's website. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there was no public comment. That was the public commentary. That was the public service announcement.
Correct.
We will move on to member items. Ron?
No.
Ed?
I just wanted to confirm that the September 22nd new town hall.
As far as we know.
Okay, I'll try
Yes.
that. All right, that's all I had. Thanks.
Sam?
I got a couple items. I'll try to go quick because their vice mayor was going to want to hear some of these. I'll discuss them with him. He'll probably watch this. When they build the arches, I don't know if anybody saw the plans, but it looks like, if you're familiar with Sanibel Harbor, it looks like it's a slatted a slatted marina, which you come in one spot and the rest has slats going up and down.
Kind of like finger piers?
Yes, no, I mean horizontal. I mean vertical decking with small gaps, and it keeps the water from being in the marina from the tide going through, and that's my concern. From the dinghy dock across the sky bridge to the other side is about 650 feet. This marina is going to extend about 165, so about a quarter of the way out there. It may be good for easing the tide, it may make it worse, but it might be a factor. So that's just something to consider as that project of the arches moves forward. And an example of it is Sanibel Harbor Marina, by Ponderosa. They have that. And I've been there before, and once you get inside there, you don't have to do anything. Your boat just sits there. So
you're saying this, what they're putting in, these slats or whatever you're talking about, I gotta look this up.
It's an enclosed marina. They're actually enclosing the marina.
So it kind of has like a seawall around it, is what you're saying?
Yes, exactly, with wood. And that's what it looked like to me in the plans. So
So it slows down the current and swirling.
Or it's going to make it, instead of 650 feet wide, now it's 400 feet wide, and that's where all the current comes in. And that's a dinghy dock issue. That may help on an incoming current. That may help, like, ease the current, but it may create a whirlpool. It may create, a bigger funnel.
Well, I'll tell you right now, at Moss Marina, it on entrances in certain parts, when you enter into the marina there, it does swirl across where it gets bad.
And it really goes through, and that's going to cut off any of that. That's going to make the channel a third less wide in that area. So just something to consider when they come up with the arches and do that. As far as the ferries go, I had some comments on the ferry thing, but I'll just save that for the vice mayor and another meeting. The other one was, if anybody watched the county meeting yesterday, and this isn't our territory for the town, but it's going to affect us. Commissioner Maluka, with no warning or anything, made the boldest move I've ever seen. He made a motion with 3 of the 5 the commissioners there to purchase what used to be Olson's Marina. So if you go over the bridge, make a right on Main Street, go about 200 feet on the right, it used to be a marina. And they're also purchasing Summer Electric there. They're purchasing it to build a boat ramp. And that's going to be right where, a couple hundred feet from the mooring field itself. There's some major issues with that Chad or somebody needs to do. I've hauled out of that marina. That was a do-it-yourself marina. They ended up banning almost every product that we used there they were using there for 50 years. It's all in the soil, it's all there. I don't know how they're ever going to clean it up, but they are putting a boat ramp there. They put in an offer to buy it.
Marina, like
Olson's,
straight across from us, from the dinghy dock pretty much. It's almost,
and to the right.
Yeah, to the right. It's like dock ports is here, then the marina's right there.
Marina's straight across
I've
there.
heard that they're tearing all that down here soon. But
And they're building a boat ramp.
I have not heard about the boat ramp.
They just passed it yesterday. They said make an offer for $1.9 million, no public input, nothing.
Now, is that going to be a public ramp?
Public ramp. Yeah, so it'll be nice.
I think that's a good thing.
It's great, but what's going to happen when they dig that all up?
Are we going to get stuff? Yeah.
They may not be able to buy it once they do the soil tests on it, but that'll be real close to the mooring field if they buy it, and they're on pretty much a fast track to do it. I think they want to do it real quick.
Good to know, thank you.
But that may be super toxic. I know just the paint I spilled, and I was careful. And I
probably have a lot of debris in there.
There's hundreds of gallons of toxic paint a year that were just dumped into the dirt there. So, but that's going to be a nice addition if they build it. And they also have with the ramp on the other side of the marinas there that they.
Yeah, but that's Lee County. That's kind of.
This is Lee County also.
Right, but that's more for like.
That's for
contractors,
service vehicles.
and it's more of a private.
Right. That's it for me.
I have nothing.
Okay. Just a couple of brief things. I will go to the council, whatever their next meeting is, September, whatever that Monday is, 2? 11. Oh, okay. All right, that's their first meeting? Oh, okay. That might be problematic, but I'll figure out how to get it done.
But also, just know, I mean, if you can't make it, then what we can, you know,
Yeah,
that's
Miss
handle
Sam,
one of the
yeah,
other
yeah.
committee members to,
Okay.
that might be a better.
Yeah, I'll type something up so that we have that. So to ask for our cruiser's remainder plus $500. And then Curtis, you had talked about investigating with the town attorney whether we could have an off-site meeting and you could actually show us around.
So,
that
yes,
situation.
so yes, I talked to people with the town, Amy Baker and some people, but, they have kind of advised me to ask y'all if, we're probably gonna push this to that meeting to the first of the fiscal year, October
Okay.
that year, so we can get the new council members in, make sure everybody,
Sure.
or the committee
Yeah,
members, I
gotcha.
should say, sorry. And, so then, that way we start off with a fresh start.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
everything like that, so.
Perfect. Okay.
But legally, it should be okay as long as it's recorded and all that.
I think so, yes.
Okay, so for next meeting, our September meeting, which is the 22nd at 9 a.m., we'll go through the canal dredge funding document.
Yeah.
We'll dig into roles and responsibilities so that we can really come up with, what we think our roles and responsibilities should be going forward, not necessarily what is outlined in that ordinance, so that you guys can get that ordinance done. And then I'll just throw out one other thing that we can talk about is maybe having some sort of a welcome to season promotion. I don't know that we do an event, but we'll have new stuff. We'll have a new boat. We'll have a new dinghy dock. How do we welcome some of our boaters back and say, hey, here's all the new things that have happened in the town. So maybe it's more of a communication promotional effort, but
Okay.
Maybe there's a role we can each play in helping to welcome some boaters back. So that's for the next one. For October, we talked about having, an off-site, and then we'll also want to start gearing up for the cruisers event for April. All right.
Along with the charter and the dredging information.
Right, that's for September. So for October would be the off-site.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? Would somebody like to adjourn us?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay, way to go ahead.
Second.
All right, seconded by Ted. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
While we're at Bay Oaks, Ed.
What do you want to do? Where are you going? You're going to give me...
I've been playing